name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to today's broadcast, and I'm not alone. I've got my co-uncle right here. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Good morning, Nigeria. It's a beautiful, beautiful Monday morning. My name is Cynthia Ago, and of course, today promises to be super amazing.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're expecting the U.S. Secretary of State talking about Rex Tillerson. He'll be landing right here in Federal Capital Territory, and we're wishing him. Today, we'll be looking at a very interesting topic. We're looking at the trending news of the Kogi State governor. Set up a specialized department to investigate and prosecute corruption cases. I think they should come to Nigeria, borrow a leave on how we chase corruption.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. I think they should do it their own way, because this is not something you hear often coming out from Saudi Arabia. So they should be able to learn how to handle something like this. And I'm very, very sure that they know how to handle something like this.
All right, so let's come back to Africa. Going to straight to Northern Africa, talking about Tunisia, where women have marched demanding for equal inheritance right as men. This is awesome. Women. Hashtag Me Too now. Hashtag
Press for Progress. Hashtag inheritance. Hashtag we want to collect.
Do you think women truly deserve equal inheritance?
Why not? They were born just the same way a man was born. The woman pushed out the baby.
They get married and go off.
Yes, they get married and go off. But if you want to look at it, let's not go through the family line this morning. But the truth is that. But let me make something clear now. A woman, even when she's married, she still comes back to the family, because the woman is the person who even takes care of the family, even when she's married away. So I think them demanding for inheritance is not a bad idea. All
right, let's allow the women have their way. Going straight to the east, we've got a Syrian government and Russian airstrike killing over 40 people in eastern Ghouta on Saturday. Meanwhile, we've got the Kurdish fighters in Afrin talking about northern Syria, saying that they would form a human shield just to prevent the Turkish fighters. I think that is a very dangerous way to go, because the way the Turkish fighters and the Russians are going about it, I don't think they're going to care if there's a human shield. They might just as well blow everybody off.
You know, I'm waiting for a time where we will talk about Syria, we'll talk about, this region, and we just start hearing some peace talk. You know, every time we talk about Syria, it's always fight, Kurdish, this and that. It's not always nice. Anyway, trade officials from EU and Japan have called for steel import tax exemptions.
All right, still giving big stories. In China, something awesome happened yesterday as China's National People's Congress has voted to remove term limits for their leaders, talking about the president and vice president. And that gives Xi Jinping the opportunity to be president for life. I think that's a very controversial thing occurring in China, but let's see how it plays out.
All right, so India and France signed a $16 billion worth of deal during President Emmanuel Macron's initial visit.
Disposition from childhood to adulthood. It's a manifestation of what you see. It develops both the human mind and the society at large. Television Nigerian is here to avail you with that information you need for all-round development through its mind-blowing programs such as news, talk shows, health and safety, governance and politics, entertainment, kiddies, documentaries, finance, global happenings. Human disposition from childhood to adulthood. It's a manifestation of what you see, what you hear and say. Tune in and stay tuned to TVN, Television Nigeria, broadcast beyond boundaries. Information remains the bedrock in every stage of development. It develops both the human mind and the society at large. Television Nigerian is here to avail you with that information you need for all-round development through its mind-blowing programs such as news, talk shows, health and safety, governance and politics, sport, entertainment, and say. Tune in and stay tuned to TV, entertainment, kiddies, disposition from childhood to adulthood. It's a manifestation of what you see, what you hear and say. Tune in and stay tuned to TVN, Television Nigerian, broadcast beyond boundaries.
Involved in the importation of restricted army uniforms, camouflage, and other.
The man in the helms of affairs of Kogi is quite a young man, and we have always been clamoring for young people to come to power. And unfortunately, he's not providing the gun. And we've seen several guys involved. They are cadets in this game. And a cadet should be very careful to learn from the RSF. I'm about 25 years in this game politics. I was a councillor at the age of 19. We have journeyed through this process. But unfortunately, what is happening in Nigeria generally? Today, the system is comatose because during the beginning of this transition process, nobody believes that military were going to hand over. So the credible people were staying off, and a lot of them were chased out of the country. So a lot of us that were doing ADECO then were skeptical about coming to power. And the mischievous ones, those that have no background, took over power. And they held to power strongly, and they don't want to go. So they are doing all criminal way of coming to power. In fact, you see Nigeria leaving their first, second 11 and bringing third 11 to a game or to a competition. They can't win trophy. That is exactly what we're having. So in Kogi, we leave our first, second 11, and we're getting our third and fourth 11 to go for a competition. For instance, we have 3 senators in Kogi State. Apart from Dilo Melaye, it is difficult to hear the name of the other one. It's highly unfortunate. Whether Dilo is good or bad, whatever name you give to him, it's making people know what is happening. Now, it's the forefront of this agitation that this thing must be properly probed. This is representation.
Do you think it's his bias? That was why he raised that
No,
issue?
Dilo has his own problem. In any case, you see, he was a friend of the same Dilo in the first instance. They fell apart, and he took his stance to really audit him properly. See, but in any case, he's doing the job he's sent to do now properly, and he's not biased, but he's being punctured by the same Bello. So whatever Bello does, he investigates. He goes out. He's doing his job.
Okay.
But you see, both of them are attacking themselves because you want me off, I want you off. But it's to our advantage because we are getting what we want out of democracy. So whether he's biased or not, he's doing his job.
Okay, you talked about him being a young person. Now, would you say that he is creating a bad example for the younger ones?
Definitely a very terrible example. You see, there's a bill proposed, not too young to run. Yeah. Everybody is happy. Now, there was an incident that happened some time ago, and that is what is propelling my strong will to even contest next election. There was a time I was contesting national youth leader of PDP. I was 39 years old then. And they brought an old man of 64 years to contest along with us. And this man was orchestrated to bring him as a youth leader. And the current, David Mark then was the Senate president. He was the chairman of the reconciliation committee. They gathered us in Transcorp and asked us to step down for a 64-year-old man. I was the only one that asked this question. Can a man be a woman leader? They say no. So how can an old man like this be a youth leader? They should tell him to bring his son who will step down for the son. Unfortunately, they refused and drove us out of Ibu Square when we say we must contest the election. Now, the repercussion is what we are seeing now. You see, when a Bello, who has no antecedent, unfortunately, because we don't see where he's coming from, apart from, well, there's a Fair Plus boss, you know, the Agbero arrangement is a transporter, and the orientation in the motor park, you understand it. So he came into power through the motor park. Well, he has a background of having worked with, what do you call it, public, where they share the money, revenue mobilization. The job there is to liaise with some chairmen of local government and governors and give them more allocation and share. So this is not training. Leadership training transcends beyond that.
But the Kogi people were the ones that chose it.
No, see what happened. The scenario in Kogi is simply this. I work with Abubakar Aoun. We won an election, he died. And when he died, there was a gap, kind of. And the power block at the villa felt they should get one of their own to play their game. There was crisis, perceived crisis between the Tinubu and the presidency then. So the running mate, the deputy to Audu, who was
James Faleke.
Yeah. Ordinarily, law of natural justice should place him as the governor.
Okay.
Now, they saw Faleke coming into playing the game of Tinubu. So then meet somebody who would downplay. And sharply they say the second runner-up in the primaries. Well, there was no provisions for that in our constitution. They say doctrine of necessity. So they brought him. He inherited the vote of Abubakar Audu. So nobody voted. It's now that he's going to face election.
All right.
Okay, so this issue of arms deal going on with the Kogi State governor, don't you think, like every other case that has gone down the drain without any account, don't you think this one will possibly go down the drain like that?
But definitely, some of us have no trust or belief in the system. More terrible things like this have happened in the past. Let's sweep them under the carpet. So, well, our own is to continue to talk and continue to agitate, continue to play our part until God intervenes properly.
All right.
We are helpless.
As we wrap up, let's look at recently, just yesterday, the news broke that Yahya Bello did sack the entire local government chairman and commissioners in the state, and barely hours later, he recalled them. Info from Kogi says it was his chief of staff that led that negotiation for the quick return of those sacked persons. Can you give us?
Well, when they say he sacked, immediately I got the news. I know it was a joke.
Why?
If you sack them, you create more enemies. No credible young man will take appointment for Yahya Bello now.
Why is that?
It's a luggage. Now, what are you going to do? An appointment that you are not taking salary? The staff, the workers of Kogi State are not being paid. Pensioners are crying, people are dying. We have family members that the pressure on us is making us to even have hypertension. The little resources for you and your family, you share more than 10 different families. So if you sack them now, who will take over? That is it. You should sack them. We have over 3 million people in Kogi. Sack them and replace them for a better hands. You can't find them. These are people that sing his song. So they should continue to sing the song. If not, he can't give me an appointment, I won't take it. Even if you give me a ticket for Senate under him, I won't take it. It is a luggage. You can't fly anywhere. So the game of sacking and bringing back, they know it's the security. They had that security information. If you sack, you are getting more enemies. We were waiting to harvest those that he was going to sack because they will come to us. Let me give you a gist. You know, late last year, they were doing this decamping right, left, and center. We sent some of our boys to decamp because it was close to Christmas. The only job in Kogi then was to decamp because they were paying 50,000 naira. So some of us gather our boys, go and decamp and get 50,000 and come back. But your own is 30,000 after the camp. Then we share the remaining 20 to other boys that have no food for Christmas. Then they were happy that people were decamped. It was a fair camp. But when the God had to stop it. So the whole thing is about, okay, now Kogi is producing rice. Where is the farm? There's Kogi rice now, but where is the farm?
Nice question. All right, we hope the governor will be answering that question in due time.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, looking at the fact that it seemed the governor had always in good rapport with Mr. President.
Yeah.
We've seen him go on different flights for the sake of the state, bringing business to the state. Would you say he's totally wrong?
Well, how many business are in Kogi State, for God's sake? You see, when there is strength in ignorance, and any man who has no potential will scavenge, will try to lean on fake pretense. You see, the only government in Nigeria in APC, why him following the president's son had accident. He came back. The president was sick. He came back to clear public holiday. The son came back first to receive the son of a president as a governor. The president has no option to receive because he's a governor. So the governor-president relationship must be there. But you see, the whole thing, let's evaluate the dividends that is given to the people. Well, in any case, I don't want to attack the personality of the governor, though he's not my friend, but he's not my enemy. We are watching carefully to the end of the time.
All right. Let's look, still going back to this issue of illegally imported arms. We know that NACO were in control, in custody of these items.
Yeah.
What's the guarantee that we're not going to wake up tomorrow morning and they're going to tell us probably disappear, you can't find it nowhere?
Can't find the arms.
Well, it's not the first time in Nigeria. But no matter how long it will take. Truth will unveil. A leader in Nigeria will come one day. They will bring all these people to go. It's not an impossibility. We'll wake up tomorrow, they'll start telling you all that stories. The judiciary is in their hand. If not forgot that they're actually having crisis with the judiciary. They are arresting and detaining some judges, so that one is fighting the judiciary too. If not, it's the government of Paragon. So we will not be surprised if there's a story coming from NAPO. Okay. Because it's the government that controls all the system. But we have heard, we have seen that all those things are in their custody. We are watching.
Okay, final question for you. Looking at the fact that he was able to get that end user certificate from the NSA, what does that tell us as regards public support?
But if you get the end user certificate from the NSA, so it means that anybody can wake up and get end user certificate and import arms or import military uniforms and equipment. How about the government? Is he the chief of defense staff or chief of army staff? Is the minister of defense? Which certificate is he going to get? Is it civil defense? Under what law of Nigeria is the vigilante operating incognito? Peace Corps bill is before the president has not signed. So there's no law at all. There's no discussion even on that matter. So which certificate is he get? Tell them get it. Of course, the system is cheating to nothing. But you see, we know that when we continue like this, you people are helping us to bring out the law. I appreciate the media generally. So we will not have option, but we are praying, we are watching, and we are working very hard to deal with them through the PVC.
All right. Okay, so that's the much we can take. Thank you so much for coming through on the show this morning, Comrade Godwin Made, talking about the trendy issue of a Kogi State governor involved in arms and army uniforms importation. At this point, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking on the newspaper review. Do stay with us. Someone who is in the newspaper review with us this beautiful morning. His name is Samson Ojutayo. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so you want to start with the Punch newspaper?
All right, let's begin with the Punch newspaper. We've got big stories there. On page 7, we've got police arrest headsmen with AK-47 rifle, 16 killed. We've got Sergei Falano, CD Flay, Senate, over 13.5 million naira allowance. That big story is also on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. U.S. Secretary of State Tillerson visits Nigeria today. You can find details only on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. CBN stress test reviews weak capital signs in banks. Find details on page 32 of the Punch newspaper. We've got consumers who pay more for cigarette alcohol from June 4th, and page 30 is where you can find that big story. External reserves hit $46 billion, says the CBN. And find details on page 32. White man abducts people 3 after tricking brother with snack. We've got the ex-Adamawa Governor Salim Mishika dies, and page 18 is where you find that big story. Well, let's look at this story. Looking at U.S. Secretary of State arriving in Abuja today, what are your expectations, and how careful should the Nigerian government be dealing with the U.S.?
You see, this government is characterized with a lot of fake policies. Like before the Christmas celebration, we have fuel crisis, and there was a meeting that was to take place in Nigeria. Suddenly, the Ibekachuku issued a statement that whatever the marketers, NMPC, and all those that are involved have to do, they must make sure that they eliminate the crisis. And just 3 days ago, we heard that, okay, these people that came for the meeting, they're gone, and there will be fuel crisis again. Now, I expect this man to tell Mr. President the truth. Slums. But you know what they did? They put a kind of barrier that when you are coming into the country as a foreigner, you won't see the slum. You only see the beautiful road, you see City Gate, you see the stadium and all that. Now, the federal government know how to play the game. Since APC is all promises cancelled, I'm not expecting much. You're asking me that, what should the government be doing? Right. They know how to play their game. They know how to fake this man, and he will think all is well. Meanwhile, we're suffering. And believe me, where he goes, the fuel crisis will come back.
All right, let's look at consumers to pay more for cigarette alcohol from June 4th. How positive is this move?
Well, if it's not coming from, most of the times when you see policy like this, yes, probably they listen to Donald Trump that say, okay, we want to make more money so that we can foot some bill, we can sponsor the education system, and when somebody like Trump is talking, or let's say the United States president, those countries, they have an institution that works. So when they tell you something, you will know that they will follow suit with whatever they've said. My challenge with paying more for cigarettes, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but my challenge with people paying more on some goods, paying more tax, is will the money that we generate from all these programs, all these policies, are they going to be judiciously used, or some set of people will just sit down in the corner of their room and just use biro to change figures, and this money, before you know what's happening, they grow wings and fly away?
All right, Sergey and Filano, talking about Senate, as regards Senate allowance, 13.5 million. For you, how do you see this issue about the allowance due to the senators and other lawmakers?
Well, it's like the two sides of a talking drum. You can play the talking drum from both sides. Either you play it from the back or you play it from the front. You see, if the senators, this money is not just go and spend. It involves their traveling allowances, their health, and other things. They have essays, they have PAs that they have to pay. But the truth is, this thing doesn't exist. How many people, yes, many of these senators, they don't even have constituencies office. If you go to their place, there's no office that their constituents can meet with them. So meaning you are not paying anybody, you just get this 13.5 and you keep it in your pocket. It's good that somebody in the class of Falana and Sagi is peppering them now. At least they will do the needful. But what I'm saying is, if this money is used for the purpose it is intended, it's a good thing. That's why I'm looking at it. Right. Wait. That's why I'm looking at it from the two sides. Okay. That, okay, since you won't use this money, then there's no point we giving you the money. I think the best approach, because I don't just want to talk, I want us to offer solutions. The best approach should have been that, okay, if need be that you got to travel, then we will foot the bill. So if you're not traveling, there's no money that will be given you. Then secondly, if you have to go for medical checkup or you have to go for any, then we'll pay for it. Not that every month we just give you the money, take, and you do whatever you like with it. No, when there's a need for it, we give you the money. That's how it's supposed to be.
Okay, the last story, you take a CBN stress test reveals weak capital signs in banks. Is this alarm bells ringing already?
You see, the NDIC is also probing the banks for fraudulent activities that takes place in the banking sector that were not reported. Okay. Many transactions flows, and these people, they just look into it that, okay, we want to make more money, and they cover it up. Alarm don't they blow TT, don't be today. Let me just put it in local
parlance. Should somebody lose their job?
The challenge we have in Nigeria is that head don't roll for negligence of duty. You know, the last time head rose was when the son of the president had an accident and you sacked the security apparatus attached to the boy. Now, in Nigeria, we have seen it that people make statements, people execute jobs, and you don't sack them. So, head will not rule.
All right. Let's go to the next.
Okay, so let's move on to the Daily Sun this beautiful morning. Police nabbed headsmen over multiple murders. This story will be found on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Sun. It is the major story right here. Police nabbed headsmen over multiple murders. And the writers here, we have suspect allegedly killed 16 persons in Plateau. And also we have on page 6 of the Daily Sun, beer cigarettes to cost more. Buhari approves new excise duty for alcohol and others. And on page 4, we have 11 killed in Cross River communal clash. And on page 41, we have, I did not call for military intervention. This statement is from Ekwere Madu. And also Saraki Law's Deputy Senate President appointment as professor. And on page 6 of the Daily Sun, we have anxiety over Nigeria as Egmont Group meets. Okay, so let's, on the back page, we have Okorocha, his succession plan, and Uche Wosu. That is the back story for Daily Sun this beautiful morning. Let's talk about the police now, headsmen over multiple killings. There's this thought that comes to people's mind that the people who are actually, the headsmen who are actually being caught in the name of headsmen, that they are not the real people that was doing the killings. So do you think there's something playing out here? Do you really think that these people that were caught as by the police are really those who are causing the murder?
You see, when you decide to go to heaven and you now choose to wear shoes, at least you're already lifted off the ground. Let's start from here first. That's what I'm trying to say with that proverb. Let's start from here. Now, the truth is, you say, yes, man, this guy, they don't own the cattle. Some people own the cattle. And unfortunately for us as a country, these people that owns this cattle, they're the one that makes the law for us. They're the one that executes the law. And when you decide to go to the courts, they're the one that you're still going to miss to be your judge. So where do you run to? Now, police arrest these guys, and you want to prosecute them. Who will you take them to? It's fine, they're arrested. At the end of the day, just like the last speaker said, all this arrest, all this prosecution will still be buried, and nobody will hear anything again. It's just that we are happy that, okay, just keep them in the cooler for us. At least we'll be resting from a guy that have killed 16 people. We'll be resting from that one for now. Until maybe we have opportunity to change those that are involved. And funny enough, I don't think the youth, they know the kind of power they have. We are the one that vote in all these octogenarians that are leading us. We should vote them out with our PVC. Right, it's just that we keep talking and talking and talking and nothing happens. Police should keep this one and
all right, let's look at the next paper. We've got the Daily Trust. Big stories there. Said Chibok parents visit Dapchi tomorrow. That's big stories on page 4 of the Daily Trust. We've got federal government website inactive despite gulping billions. Find details of this big story on page 5 of the Daily Trust. We've got Senate confirms 13.5 billion monthly running cost. Page 3 is where that detail is. 2019 Nigerian split on leadership by women. Find details on page 16 of the Daily Trust. While alcohol tobacco prices to rise as federal government increases excise duty. Find details on page.
I want to protest. How many people will actually follow me? But since you're a registered body, these people should be probed. The reason why you will not find anything on the website is because no project have been. Lately, Fashola came out to tell us that the Ministry of Works did not build any road because there's no money. You don't expect to see anything on the website. Those that speaks English says you don't expect a healthy teeth in a rotten mouth. So the whole system stinks and you don't expect to see anything functional except we decide to overhaul the whole system. So Nigerians should be held responsible for not asking enough questions on how their money have been spent. Then the civil society organization, the various NGOs that are supposed to monitor this thing on our behalf, their monitoring and evaluation team should be asked questions.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move straight to the leadership newspaper this morning. The big story, end killings or face court-martial. Army tells field commanders. You will find that story on page 6. And the writer here, as PMB visits Benue today. And another story here, NDIC investigates banks as insider fraud rises by 38%. And that story continues on page 6 of the leadership. INEC engages whistleblowers to check underage registration. That story continues on page 7 of the leadership, and also on page 7, Nigerian elected president of ICC and former Adamawa governor, talking about Saleh Michika, dies at age 77. You will find that story on page 10, and also on page 27, $11 billion Dangote refinery raises hope for Nigerian ship owners. We'll just talk about two stories here, talking about the INEC engages whistleblowers to check on the age registration, and also the $11 billion Dangote refinery as it raises hope for
NDIC, knowing fully well that they ought to have some bit of other mechanism, forensic mechanism, in order to track whatever activities these banks are involved in.
Yes, it's an indictment, but in Nigeria, the data management system is so poor, and thieves or fraudsters always generate means that they can use to circumvent the process, that they can use to avoid being caught. Now, if they are waking up to their responsibility now, I think we should give them the necessary support to probe. 12 billion is not a small money. So we should give them the necessary support to probe the activities of the bank. Because the truth is, many of these politicians, because most times it is politicians that deals with big money like this. Lately when this government came into power, people stopped putting their monies in the banks, and now probably some of them just discovered that they are no longer comfortable with putting the money in the bank. At home. They want to take it to the bank. And when they take it to the bank, the kind of alert that is supposed to trigger off, there's supposed to be a red alert to the NDIC, EFCC, and all that. There's a way that some of these bankers will be able to stop such things that
Is it the red flag?
Yes, the red flag will not be triggered. So these are the excesses that NDIC want to check now. And I think we should give them the needed support. It is better late than never. All right.
Okay, so finally on Sporting Sun, of course you know what they say, a day without sports might look like an empty day. All right, so Iheanacho boast brings on Chelsea. You will find that story right here on the Sporting Sun this beautiful morning. And of course, Yema cheats death in France. You find that story on page 6. Chelsea budget £107 million for Dembele Aguero out for 2 weeks. You find that story also on page 2. And Pogba to accept Real's pay cut. You'll find that story on page 5 of Sporting Sun this beautiful morning. And lastly, Allegri wants Arsenal job. You will find that story on page 5 of Sporting Sun.
All right. The question: do you think Allegri or Ancelotti, who do you think could be a better replacement for Arsene Wenger? That's if he's
because
to leave.
Exactly. Because
do you think he's ever going to leave Arsenal?
The people loved him. The board loves him. For them, it is not all about the trophies, all about the money that comes in. He's generating profit for them. He's making money for them. They don't care.
Do you think it's time for him?
But I think Wenger should look at it that at the end of your career, it is not how much you have in the bank that will count. It is how many trophies you've won that will count for you. So the thing is, just like you rightly pointed out, is he going to leave? The answer is no, because this is not the first time we are hearing it that Arsenal be gone. I mean, Arsene Wenger be gone. Wenger out. This, he's not going. So Ancelotti, Allegri should look for somewhere else. For Arsenal, he said no. He's not going.
All right, we get to see how that plays out.
No, you know, for Chelsea, at a point, their game pattern is so ugly, but they are winning trophies. And that's what the people love. So for Wenger, he's making money, and that's what the board loves. So I think he's not going.
Okay, so that is the much we can take this beautiful morning on Daybreak Nigeria, right here on television Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Samson, for coming on the show this beautiful morning. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Television Nigerian, and of course, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So Television Nigerian. It has been a beautiful show this morning, Anthony Elsie.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And as we welcome the Secretary of State of the U.S. talking about Rex Tillerson to Nigeria, we wish him all the best. And indeed to all Nigerians, wherever you're watching us, have a lovely, lovely day. My name is Andrew Momo. They say have a sweet day. Good morning.
And my name is Cynthia Agbo. In everything you do, don't forget that Nigeria is a beautiful country. Enjoy it.